This is the beating heart of the global flower trade. Every year, more than 10 billion flowers and plants are sold at this huge flower auction, the largest in the world. On these screens, thousands of buyers shop remotely. Recently, one piece of information has become more important.
This grower does not have sustainability certificate. On this clock, you can see this grower has an MPS A+ and also an MPS GAP certificate.
These eco-labels measure, among other things, the quantity of chemicals used. As warnings about the high presence of pesticides in cut flowers continue to grow, this flower auction wants to require all its suppliers to obtain sustainability certificates within 2 years.
It starts with transparency. It's not only a grower says, I'm doing it perfectly right and I know that because it's in my head. No, he has to be transparent.
But 32% of the produce here is grown outside of the European Union. Like roses from Kenya. There they use pesticides which are banned on European soil because they're dangerous.
The ways of production in Kenya and Ethiopia are different from the way we do it here. They are using products that we do not use in Europe because there's no need to, because it's to fight against diseases we are not having here, and in Africa that they have.
That's a statement that upsets Margriet Manting, whose NGO looked into pesticide residue in 12 bouquets of cut flowers. A third of the pesticides they found are banned in the EU.
So we had bouquets with 40 different residues. 40, imagine. It's criminal. There are many pesticides because there's no any regulation how many pesticides are allowed as residues.
In food farming, the use of pesticides is highly regulated. But the lack of rules in floriculture worried these residents of Boterveen, especially when a lily grower started planting his flowers on this field, right next to their homes. At the time, Peter immediately noticed the difference with the corn that was grown here before.
When they use corn, well, they spray maybe a few times per season, and that's nothing to compare with the 2 times a week when they grow the lilies.
Because of this, the residents decided to file for an injunction against the grower in 2023.
When we first went to court, they had to stop using pesticides on this field. When he went to the higher court, the court said it was okay to use 4 pesticides when he wanted to use, like, I think 30.
Of course, it's a big first step, but still, I don't know what the effect of these 4 substances is. One substance might be tested safe, but the cocktail of these 4 substances together, we don't know what the effect is.
This retired Belgian professor began sounding the alarm years ago. In 2018, Bruno Schiffers took urine samples from 42 florists and proved that this profession is particularly affected. His work was used by the lawyer of a former florist in France who managed to have her daughter's death recognized as being caused by prenatal exposure to pesticides.
What I hope, of course, is that this case and this judgment will allow progress to be made and also perhaps to take measures to restrict their use. It should be noted that since these are not products that are consumed like fruits and vegetables, there are no so-called MRL standards or maximum residue limits, which are imposed by Europe for fruit and vegetables.
Johanna first started to have doubts 15 years ago. Back then, she and her husband were growing flower bulbs in the conventional way. One day, when her daughter was hospitalized for encephalitis, the doctor asked her a question that shocked her to the bone.
The question of a doctor, if we use pesticides, you have to think then, why does he ask it? So it was the first thing we thought about, well, is this the right way?
Though the link to their child's health condition was never proven, Johanna and her husband decided to switch to organic floriculture. Changing their ways in a sector in which the use of pesticides is so deeply rooted was challenging.
That were really hard years and they cost a lot of money. There's going a lot of money around in bulb growing. So when you miss a harvest, it's really heavy. It was really hard because it's in your head. It's always the solution to use the pesticides. And what when the solution isn't there and you have to do it in another way.
Today, the hybrids business is as profitable as when they used pesticides. But of all the flowers grown in the Netherlands, just 1% is organic.